Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World. This is 5 things we've learned from Wrexham 1, Cardiff City 2. And what a night. And look, for me, of course, the victory is massive. It's, quarterfinals of a cup, another good cup run for City, blah, blah, blah. Great. But for me, and I said this before the game, this was all about the performance. Can we rediscover that early season form? Can we put things right of what's been a poor few games really since the international breaks? We haven't quite been able to find that momentum, and boy oh boy did Brian Barry Murphy and his young Cardiff City side just remind everybody, fans, media and certain teams in Wales, exactly who they are. We're going to talk about the cup tie that had everything. They had the goals, it had a bit of intensity, a bit of edge, and a statement from BBM, statement from Brian Barry Murphy's men. Yes, you could say there's an old rivalry going back to the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s between Wrexham and Cardiff City. And after 90 full-blooded minutes, there was only one winner, and it was a deserved winner in Cardiff City. It was a proper good cup tie, yes, but there was a modern Cardiff City performance. This wasn't luck. This wasn't a smash and grab against the Championship side. This was another confident, composed, and most importantly, consistently impressive performance against the side in a league above us. Burnley, in the earlier rounds, Premier League side, we completely dominated and outplayed them, deservedly beat them. And then we went to Wrexham. The media love them. They build it up. They try to build it up as a rivalry. And look, for older fans, there is a bit of a rivalry there, but there isn't the same hatred. There isn't the same intensity. I quite like Wrexham, but yesterday was not about that. Today, like I said, 5 things we learned from the win at the racecourse, and a few honourable mentions in there because honestly, we were so good that there's more positives than 5 to talk about. But let's get into it. And I think number 1, some people won't be surprised because I've been banging the drum about this player for a long time. All of last season I was just calling for him to play when he was ignored. But we start with Will Fish at the back because once again he was simply sensational. This lad is quietly becoming easily one of the most complete defenders in League One. But he has got that old school bravery, that fight, the bite. But he's the kind of defender who will kind of throw himself in front of anything and everything. And he did so last night in the second half at times, if it means protecting his goalkeeper. But what's impressive about him is that he's also got that modern twist of a centre-back. He's good on the ball, good in possession. His short passing is definitely improving. And he's got those long, deep diagonals. And he got his first goal for the club. He's calm, he's composed, he's progressive on the ball. And when Wrexham tried to press high, Fish just stepped up. He used his body and either played through the line, sprayed it wide. Just very, very composed. BBC Wales called him dominant and decisive under pressure. And I think that's a beautiful way to put it. There was a moment in the second half, I think it was, around the hour mark sometime, where Kiefer Moore effectively bounced off him. He stood up and he just nicked the ball cleanly, launched into a counter-attack. And, City were on the break again. That's leadership without shouting. It's leading by example. It's commanding your area without the fanfare. He quietly goes about his business. Doesn't get talked about like Lawler. Doesn't get talked about like Chambers or Osho. He just does his job and does it well. He deserved to win. He deserved his goal. And every single week he gives you a 7 or 8 out of 10 minimum. And look, for me, I've made this clear. If Lawler's the technician, the composure, Fish is the enforcer, but they're together, they're a beautiful partnership, especially when you've got Bagan and Capaccio either side. But I understand the need, that rotation, and Callum Chambers was excellent, by the way, as well. Shouldn't take anything away from him by talking about Dylan. But look, listen, we've said it before, this season was said last season, Will Fish is our most consistent defender this season. It's not just about defending, it's about setting the tone, it's about attitude, application and mentality. Rarely makes a mistake, always where you need him to be, and that's what you need over a long, brutal season, is consistency and people to step up. He's still a young man himself, early 20s, I think he's 22. Another great young player. Yes, he hasn't come through the academy, but Will Fish is definitely a Bluebird and he's doing a great job. And on that note, people who are Bluebirds but haven't come through the academy. Omari Kellyman. This is the Omari Kellyman that we've been waiting for. And patiently, my ad, everyone's been patient with him. We know he's building up his fitness. But number 2 is definitely Omari Kellyman. And I honestly, I can't wait to talk about it because, look, he's shown glimpses, the goal the other week. He's definitely getting there. You can see it in recent weeks. His confidence is growing, his sharpness is growing, his fitness is growing. But this was the best performance we've seen from him. This was a performance of a player who was playing in a game far below his level. For 45 minutes in that first half, he was simply unplayable. Every time he picked the ball up, you could feel Wrexham's backline start to panic. They didn't know how to deal with him. His touch, he was direct, fearless, skillful, creative. Everything that we know he's got, he showcased it all. Whether he was linking with Pacquiao down the outside, whether it was Joel Colwill linking in the inside, it was fluid, it was fast, and it was frightening to defend because when he drove at them, he glided past those players like they were not there. Wrexham just didn't have a clue how to stop him. He still is building match fitness, right? He's not up to speed. He's not going to be able to do it week in, week out. But when he can, oh my days, he's a player. He's so good. He's good in the air. He's got a good first touch. He's skillful. He can play off both feet. He's quick. He's strong. He's starting to get that swagger as well. Like he could end up being unplayable in the second half of this season. My fear is that he really hits top gear around Christmas and Chelsea recall him. I really hope for it that doesn't happen. And I mean, do you know another thing, right, that I think people miss with Omari is this is a kid, right, who's shot up really quickly in his young career, been signed for 19 million to Chelsea, one of the bigger clubs in the country, in the Premier League, in Europe, former Champions League winners. 19 million's a big old price tag for a young man. And then he's had the injury long term, and he hasn't gone to the Championship, he's gone to League One. Now I dare say part of that is because of the manager, the way we play, etc. There's all different things that come into it. But for footballers as general, not just him, footballers as a whole, they have egos, right? He could have come down to League One and gone through the motions, just got fit, and then not really been bothered, not really cared. But this kid doesn't do that. He looks like he cares. He looks like he's bought into not just Brian Barry Murphy's plan for playing football, because that's easy to do to a certain extent, but he looks like he's bought into his teammates. He looks like he bought into the fans. He looks part of the team. He looks part of the fabric of the club, and he works hard. And I think that shows the temperament and the mentality. I mentioned about Will Fish, about application, mentality, aggression, attitude, about doing the right things week in, week out to get the best out of yourself and be consistent. This kid looks like he's doing everything right to get up to speed and to be able to do what he did for 45 minutes last night, for 70 minutes, for 80 minutes, for 90 minutes, week in, week out. And when he does, my days, what a player. I mentioned to a friend of mine earlier, I would love to see him here next year when he's at absolute full tilt. I would love to get him for another season, but I think it's unlikely. And we'll get to this a bit later, but just a level above everyone on the pitch last night. Simply sensational. Yes, he's building that fitness, but when he's confident and you see that swagger, you see the Premier League level player that he is. And playing League One every week, maybe it would be easy to get a bit frustrated and sulk, and you see none of that. Like, he gets kicked up in the air and all this. He's not about that. He's about football and he's about skill. And what I'm saying is, I love the way that he's bought into Cardiff City. His display was electrifying in short bursts, but when he was given that space, he was fucking devastating. And what it sums up is, he was very unlucky not to get a goal or an assist in that first half performance. He had that one which saved, one which fizzed wide. What a performance. And that dominance from him and Rubin and others in that first half, it set the tone. Wrexham didn't know what to do. And when we get that consistency from Kellyman week in, week out, oh my days. Because he plays with energy and courage. He's brave. He wants to get at teams. I love that. I love it. And I love, as I said, the swagger's back. he transforms Cardiff's attack. And what it does, when he's like that, when he's on that form, that creates more space for Rubin, for Salic, for whoever, because teams have to double up on him. He's that good. And the scary thing is, he's nowhere near 100% match fit yet. Nowhere near it, as seen by, coming off. Number 3, BBMs Bluebirds remind us all, the fans, the media, Wales, we are your capital, yes. But Barry Murphy, his team remembered what made them so dominant in the start of the season, what made them so difficult to play against, and what made us feel like as fans that we weren't going to lose a game. Look, one of the most important things long term for Barry Murphy is getting the consistency out of this young team. It's really difficult to do in a long old season. Before that first international break, we were almost unplayable. The high tempo, the intense pressing, the rotations off the ball all over the pitch, the work rate. And for the first time since, for me, really, that was that level of performance. From the first whistle, we pressed as a unit. Colwill and Salic were just beautiful in tandem, and then the passing lanes were cut off, and that midfield 3 just suffocated it. But it all comes up from the defence being high. If the defence don't squeeze and they leave a gap between the defence and the midfield, you get exposed by people playing through your press when the ball does get turned over. But they just did it. We squeezed, we pressed, and we choked the life out of Wrexham in that first half. It looked like everything that we've been working towards finally clicked again. And I think, look, you could see the difference in Barry Murphy himself, by the way, on the touchline and afterwards. He's his usual self on the touchline, jumping around, living every ball, telling the team when to play, when to hold, when to press. But where after that game, you could see he was very proud of that team and very happy with the performance. I think he said after the game, like, it looked like us again. Front foot, brave, together. And that's exactly what the fans want to hear. And I think what last night's performance did remind us as fans is just chill out a little bit. Just stick with this manager, stick with the team. If you get the odd performance or a couple of performances which aren't up to scratch, it's okay. Like, you can critique it and analyse it and all the rest of it, but let's stick with them. We know what they're capable of, we know what they can do, and we know what they're trying to do. I've even had like a couple of Wrexham fans message me during the game and after the game, and these are like proper football guys. Like, some of them work in the game, some of them are just good football knowledge fans. And they said, look, we're easily the best team they've played all season from any league. And it's difficult to disagree, like, on that performance. I haven't seen all of Wrexham's games, of course, but, you're talking, they've played, I think, a Premier League team in the Cup. They've played, obviously several Championship teams. So that's a big statement for people. And that's more than one. There's like, I think it was 3 or 4 in the end said something along those lines. The key now is we've got to replicate these levels. We've got to replicate that intensity. And if City can mirror that level, or as close to that level as possible week in, week out, I'm not even concerned about promotion. But consistency is the key. Consistency is the most difficult thing. Consistency and the attacking patterns are the most difficult things to click. Last night is the benchmark. Last night is a reminder of the Burnley game where we were unbelievable. The first part of the season before that first international break. That is Barry Murphy's Cardiff City. That's what we want to see as fans. But we need to help them achieve that by sticking with them. But what a performance, I've got to say. Number 4, Alex Robertson. So, back in the side for the second game in a row, came off the bench. But I want to move this on a bit, right? Because I think this one might have flown under the radar a little bit because of the chaos. Obviously, he came off the bench. And he came off the bench. The game was chaotic. Wrexham had scored. It was tackles flying in. The crowd was behind him. And what he did, and Turnbull in fairness, but what they did is they brought a calmness and a clarity. And what we did is we didn't panic. We killed their momentum by keeping the ball and moving it fast. And they couldn't deal with it. He doesn't just pass the ball. He passes with a purpose. He's very progressive. He's looking to move forward. Every touch he takes has got a reason. He reads the game really well. And what stood out for me is how often he'll pass the ball and then he moves to get it back. Or he's constantly looking for the return pass or the 1-2, the third man run to get it off the next pass. He's constantly on the move. It's intelligent football, right? He's got a real high football IQ, and he's definitely of that Brian Barry Murphy DNA. And if he can build on that performance, and we add him into the starting midfield more and more, and he gets fitter and fitter, Brian Barry Murphy might have just have played a blinder in motivating him and getting him ready, because he is a special player. He's such a good technical player, and I thought he made a real difference last night. And that's nothing to take away from Ryan Wintle, by the way. I thought Ryan Wintle was excellent. I'm just saying he gives that extra little bit of pace. He reads the game. His passing for me is just unreal. Like, he moves the ball off 2 touches all the time. Very rarely gets caught on the ball taking 3, 4, 5 touches. He knows when to speed up. He knows when to slow down. But like I say, it's those 1-2s to try. He constantly wants to pop it, move. What a player he could be. The composure under pressure is exactly what Cardiff have lacked at times. And in a game like that where Wrexham, we wanted to kill the crowd, and that's exactly what we did. We scored at the right time, of course. He's not flashy, but he's technically unreal, and you can see why Brian Barry Murphy needed to find a way to integrate him. And you could say what you want about should he have come in earlier, should he have not. There was obviously something with his fitness or his intensity, but that is building now, and as soon as he's match fit, that's going to be simply incredible to see. He can play in both the 6, the 8, and he does both roles really, really well. I like him in the 6, I gotta say. But if Wintle's going to play, you can play him in the 8. It gives Cardiff a lot of variety. Alex is one of those players who makes other people better, and you can see that by how we move the ball when he's on the pitch. Exciting times. A real good cameo from Alex Robertson, which played a big part in Cardiff seeing that game out. And then number 5, I wanted to talk about a duo, technically a trio, but a duo specifically in this game, who was simply a cut above the rest. So number 5, and this might be the headline, I don't know, but one of them certainly took the headlines in terms of man of the match. Cardiff simply had players on that pitch who were just a cut above everyone else, and Wrexham just couldn't deal with it. Let's start with Rubin Colwill. That we've said it before. This is the guy. This is the face of the new era of Cardiff City. Last few games, he hasn't hit the levels, the standards that he set himself. But he set those standards earlier in the season, not us or Brian Barry Murphy. He set the standards with his level of performance. Against Wrexham, after a iffy couple of games from him, he was back. He was strong, he was composed, technically absolutely elite. He ran the game between the lines. Every time he picked the ball up, you could see defenders panicking. He was so unlucky not to score from the free kick, which rattled the bar. He's added maturity, he's a natural flair, and you can see his leadership within this group. But also, like when Keane hits the bar, that's off Rubin's pass. I think, 6 months to a year ago, Rubin takes that shot on his left foot and it just hits the crowd. But he lays it off for Ashford. Ashford hits the bar. And then there's Kellyman again. Unplayable at times, like I've already mentioned. Together, they look like players from a different level to this game. I think BBC Wales said, Cardiff's young stars carried a swagger, the quality that few sides in Championship or EFL generally could live up to or match. This sums it up pretty perfectly for me. And then lastly, I wanted to shout out Yusuf Salic as well. His hold-up play and dropping into the space was elite last night. I'm talking top level elite. He was calmer, more composed. He didn't get dragged into the physical battle. So he battled and he shielded the ball, but he didn't get involved in those niggly arguments. He was sensational. He knows when to lay it off. He knows when to hold it. He knows when to carry it. The experience growing with him each game, and more now he looks like that complete number 9 that we saw last year. I was very impressed with his play last night. So those 3 for me were just a cut above. And then lastly, that's the 5 things, but a couple of honourable mentions really before we wrap up. Callum Chambers, excellent again. Strong in his duels, vocal, led, and he did the dirty work when he needed to. very, very good. And I've been so impressed with his mentality to come back from his poor form, the criticism that he was probably fairly taking. But the form of Dylan Lawler and Will Fish also drew, comparisons and more attention to his form. But I think he's been real sensational. And last night he was excellent. Joel Bagan, again, after being injured on the weekend, plays an hour. Sensational again. Like, he was really, really good. And he's quietly become a fantastic left back. Really reliable, solid defensively, getting better and better going forward. Links up the play. And when he's got that composure and the width, he's very, very good. Who else was there? Wintle, I thought, was excellent in there as well. And even Turnbull and Robertson just gave us that bit of composure, gave us a bit of shape, experience, positional discipline, just to see the game out. And then finally, there's one tactical thing I wanted to bring attention to. But before that, Kean Ashford had a little break from the side, got subbed after being subbed the other day, and it's just so good to see him back in the side starting. And he just played like himself. A few weeks ago, he just looked like he had the world on his shoulders. And yesterday, he was skillful, he was direct. And what I really like, he worked his socks off. Defensively, he was excellent. Won the ball back multiple times, tracked his runners, kept the shape when needed to, pressed when needed to. It's a real mature performance from him. But I was just pleased to see him looking like he was free. Because, like I said, he looked like he had the world on his shoulders. The one thing with Kean is you've got to get the ball to him early, isolate him one-on-one with a fullback, and then he's dangerous because he can go either way. He does have those tricky skills, and he's got great vision, decision-making also. And lastly, look, this felt like the beginning of something. This felt like a turning point, a proving point for this team, whereby we've had a rocky spell, and now this could be the start of coming out of it. Let's hope so. Let's hope we can find that consistency that we had at the start of the season, because this was a real impressive performance. Make no mistake, it was really, really good. But I wanted to make note of this. The last couple of weeks, I've talked and others have talked about a need for a tactical tweak, for the number 8 to be a little bit deeper, to make us a little bit more secure in and out of possession. Well, second half, knowing that Wrexham were going to come at us and try and get back into the game, Joel Colwill played much deeper, almost alongside Wintle, but there was a definite tweak to the shape. That's important, because that not only shows that Brian Barry Murphy adapts and sees the tactical tweaks that are needed, the issues, but he did it in real time, he did it in the game. That deserves a lot of credit, because that made us much more secure in the second half. Of course, Wrexham are going to create chances. The home side is a knockout tie. They've got one back in Kiefer Moore. As soon as Kiefer Moore come on, you knew they were going to spam crosses and balls into him, and we dealt with them really well. Even the Wrexham goal, Callum Chambers is really unlucky. He takes deflection off Fish, and the deflection takes Chambers underneath it. If that comes whipping in, Chambers probably gets enough of a challenge on to stop him scoring, but it is what it is. But anyway, Brian Barry Murphy, tactical tweak, well done. Another great performance. It's really good to see, and I'm just happy to see fans happy. Listen, stick with the manager, stick with the team. The good times are coming. Keep the faith. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Did I get anything wrong? Did I get anything right? I always like to hear when I'm right. I appreciate you all so much. Please spread the word, share this video. Do me a favour, right? I'm talking to you. Do me a massive favour, just for me, please. Go on your social media, share the link of this video, and say Cardiff City World is the place. 7 days a week, Cardiff City content, balanced, professional, fun, all the stuff you want from content about your team and about the team that we all love and live, breathe, everything. Cardiff City is all we want to talk about. It's all we think about 7 days a week. So let's talk about it on Cardiff City World. Why not? The boys are back tonight. Until then, please do check out all the videos on the channel, including interviews and exclusives and all that good stuff inside the EFL. Hopefully filming another episode of that very, very soon, to a club not so far from us. But it's not us. Take care, my friends, and I'll see you in a bit, right? Nice one. This channel is powered by an incredible membership community on Cardiff City World and patreon.com/Ace Podcast Nation. Becoming a member unlocks exclusive rewards, from early access to live event tickets, bonus content, and even the occasional inside transfer scoop when we get it. But more importantly, it allows us to bring you top quality Cardiff City content 7 days a week. Across those 7 days, we're talking match previews, exclusive interviews, instant match reactions, the breakdown podcast, tactical deep dives, the Spotlight series, Bluebirds Rewind, Academy Focus, and just so much more. Led by myself, backed by an army of passionate Cardiff City fans, this is content created by fans for fans. Balanced, professional, and 100% all about the club we all love. If you enjoy what we do, then join the community today and support what we are doing as we help to keep Cardiff City World flying high.